Unity of Lawrence on this gentle rain day. What wonderful seeds to plant in our minds and hearts as we gather together. So in unity, we begin everything with prayer. Let's take a centering breath and open to the divine in all of us as we pray. With full hearts and open minds, we gather today to accept the endless possibilities of peace on earth and peace in our hearts. We acknowledge the existence of pain and injustice in the world, but we also acknowledge limitless love and our limitless being. We welcome our divine inheritance as co-creators. We know that we are already standing in the light of love, of healing, and of transformation, and so it is. Amen. Our prayer chaplains are trained to hold sacred space and pray with you, so if there's anything in your heart to be held in prayer, please see Holly after the service in our chaplain's office. Our chaplains will also pray for you during the week if you just fill out the little lavender prayer slip in front of the chairs, in front of you. And then also we invite you to join in a prayer circle immediately after the service here at the front of the sanctuary for all who want to participate in a group prayer for themselves and for the world. We can still meet one-on-one in the chaplain in the office afterwards, but let's join Holly right now. Let's not wait. Let's rise and sing If It's to Be. And if I dream of peace, let me be the peace. And when I start from love, I am love. I know I can be the change I want to see. So if it's to be, if it's to be, if it's to be, it's up to me. It's up to me. It's up to me. Thank you. And there are lots of me's everywhere around. So thankfully, happy, happy be me's. As we settle back into our seats after our hugging and welcoming of each other in our hearts, let's affirm together Unity's founding principle. There is only one presence and one power in the universe and in my life, God, the source of all good. And now our Unity of Lawrence vision statement. Together, united in divine love and joy, we celebrate a peaceful and abundant world for all. And finally, our Unity of Lawrence mission statement. Together, we are a thriving spiritual community, sharing love, building bridges, and inspiring transformation. And now, what a perfect gift, Star Sister Revival as our guest musicians.
Well, it's a pretty good crowd for a rainy day. Way out on the ocean, far beyond the seven seas, there's a tiny little boat, faith is keeping her afloat, with a tiny little skipper with his worn and tattered coat. You see, the laws of the ocean say that you shall never fail. Use your heart as a rudder, faith as a compass, and a blanket for a sail. Sleep for the weary, dreams for us all. Rest your head on a pillow and I'll tell you a tale. Use your heart as a blanket and a blanket for a sail. Sleep for the weary, dreams for us all. Rest your head on a pillow and I'll tell you a tale. Use your heart as a blanket and a blanket for a sail. Way out on the ocean, far beyond the seven seas, there's a tiny little boat, faith is keeping her afloat, and a tiny little skipper with a torn and tattered coat. You see, the laws of the ocean say that you shall never fail. Use your heart as a rudder, a faith as a compass, and a blanket for a sail. Use your heart as a rudder, faith as a compass, and a blanket for a sail. Use your heart as a rudder, faith as a compass, and a blanket for a sail.
I could just picture Max from the Wild Ones sailing along. on a magical sail. And so we do that today. And we are joined in our adventures with Bethany Shipley, a speaker, writer, and guide for those who are ready to live a life of deep purpose, authenticity, and alignment. With over a decade of experience helping others step into who they truly are, Bethany creates space for people to connect the dots between how they are and how they show up in the world. Bethany is also a mom of 4, podcast host, and someone who thrives when she's helping others live lit up, inspired lives, grounded in truth, freedom, and joy. What a joy to have Bethany Shipley today.
Thank you so much. Good morning. Okay, I have to know, Holly, are you one of the Star Sisters? Okay, that's awesome. And I was thinking, there's no way you're not, because the way you guys sound has that family harmony to it. And I actually grew up on a bus singing. I don't know if I've ever shared that here. Grew up singing with my siblings, and there's just something about like family harmony, and I love that. Okay, secondly, has nothing to do with my service, but hilarious nonetheless. When you brought the kazoo out, it reminded me of this past Christmas. My dad thought it would be such a great idea to put kazoos in all of our stockings, and so we sang Christmas carols through the kazoos. And then, after we got done singing Christmas carols, the kids kept playing their kazoos. And if a kazoo goes too long, it can really like get in your head, and that sound becomes less pleasant over time. And so in our family group text, we were kind of all complaining about the kazoos. My sister-in-law and I were talking about, Dad, like, did you have to give all of our children kazoos? And so we came up with a game plan where we were going to tie the kazoos up in a tree, and if the kids want to play the kazoo, they have to climb the tree to go get it. So anyway, that's our little kazoo story. Thank you for letting me share it. Yeah, exactly. If any of my kids break a bone by falling out of a tree, please don't tell on me. I'm so excited to talk today about the topic of inspiring active living. And I was talking with Cindy this morning. I said, now how do you do it? Because I saw she's the speaker for next week, and I loved her title, Orders Up. I said, how do you do it? Do you come up with a title and then you scramble on what you're going to say to match the title? Or do you come up with the talk and then find a title to match? And she said for her, it kind of comes all at the same time. For me, to be completely honest, a lot of times I will see a phrase or have a word or a concept that's kind of like burning in my mind, and I feel that when I put a deadline, like I'm going to speak on this topic, I am forced to figure out what I believe about it, why it's inspiring to me, or whatever. So this is a story about how this title, Inspiring Active Living, came to be on the screen today. I have, let's see if I can test out this. I'm not sure which way. Is it go this way? Let's go. Let's see here. Towards where? Oh, towards this. Perfect. Okay, these are my 4 children. One of them is in the audience today, Lennon. Give a little wave. Lennon, who looks 15 years old. She's actually 9. Moses is 11, Avalon is 5, and Mac is 7. So we have a very active life, as you could imagine. The top 3 go to school traditional hours, something like 9 to 4, 9 to 3, and the little one, Avalon, she's finishing up her last year in preschool. So after I get all 3 of the bigs on the bus, then it's time to drive Avalon to her half day at preschool. And a lot of times I use that 10 minutes there and the 10 minutes back to think about my day, what I'm going to do, connect with Avalon or whatever. And so one particular morning, we were driving, and Avalon was in the back seat asking me all sorts of questions, and I looked over to make sure I was not going to get hit by someone merging, and it was a bus that was one of those, like, residential home, retirement home buses or vans where they transport to go do things. And on the side of it, and I've tried to find where this van is and what home it came from because I just love it, huge words across the side, and it said inspiring active living. And my brain just like latched onto that phrase, and I thought, that is exactly what I want to do with my life. I want to inspire active living. And I know just because I've been around for a little bit of time, the way to inspire active living is to actively live myself. It's kind of connected. However we are is how we inspire others to be. And so I caught on to that phrase, inspiring active living, and I started thinking about really, if my husband and I were in a Venn diagram and there were only two circles, where we overlap is also our shared vision for our life. He inspires active living in a completely different way than me, but it really is the same vision that we share. And so those three words kind of caught on. But as I was thinking about how, let's see here. I'm struggling with this. I don't know why. Maybe go. Okay, so I started thinking, you guys got this. They're going to take care. I'll just point to the back and they'll take care of it. I started thinking, what does active living really mean? Because if I walk through my week with you guys, you would be able to say, man, you got a lot going on. On paper, you are living an active life. Moses, who's 11, is playing soccer, basketball. He's in trombone. He's at school. Lennon just got done with wrestling. She's playing soccer. Max playing baseball. Avalon, is getting into stuff herself. So on paper, it's like every weeknight, we're doing stuff. We're getting people here and there. On paper, my life is very active. But that's not really the active that I'm talking about. Because I'm sure that, just like me, everyone else has a lot going on, and if you don't right now, at one point in your life you did. And that's not really what I'm talking about, because our schedules can be really full, but we can actually be living not an active life. What I'm talking about in terms of an active living is a energetic state as well. So I really do want to define what active living really means. And we'll go to the next slide. I've put it into 3 bullet points that are for me what it really means. What active living really means is, the first one is I'm engaged with my life. I'm involved with my life. This is a really silly little example, but it's a very real one. I recently got a book called, it's from Arthur Brooks, Dr. Arthur Brooks. He's a Harvard professor. I'm going to mention a few studies from that book. And it's called The Meaning of Your Life. And I kind of tend to do this thing where I get a book that I'm really into, and I'll read the first third of it, and then I kind of just I'll get to it. So this is a silly example, but engaged with my life means I'm going to read 30 pages of this every day, and I'm going to be done with it by Friday, because I really I have a goal around my life. I'm invested in my life. I'm engaged with my life. The next bullet point, is I'm finding meaning in my life. The going through the motions is so easy to do for me. And sometimes I'll be washing dishes and I'll be so disconnected from the miracle that it is. That the water that I'm washing my dishes with, literally, we're on a rainwater system, so literally fell from the sky. And that I have food that's dirtying my kids' plates, and that it's a miracle that they're healthy and eating. I can sometimes be so disconnected from the meaning of what's actually around me. That active living for me means I'm finding meaning in my life. And then the third bullet point is I'm noticing the wonderful power at play in my life. And that means kind of these divine moments where it's like, man, that is just so, as Thomas said this morning to me, it's like you look back and you realize, oh my gosh, something was looking out for me when I was not looking out for myself. Those are his words, not mine. I've had so many, when I'm connected to life, when I'm actively living, I am able to connect the dots that there's actually a wonderful power at play in my life, and I'm noticing it. Okay, so now that we've kind of got an idea of what active living looks like, we're going to go to the next slide. And I was studying, what would be the opposite of active living? If we're not just defining active as schedule and we're busy, what's the opposite? And I found this word, and it's called inert. And inert living, and we can go to the next slide, inert living is by definition, and this is the if you Google inert definition, this is the definition. Similar to active, it's malleable, so I'll define it as the dictionary defines it, and then I'll tell you what it means in contrast to how I'm defining active. It's lacking the power to move, acting in a slow or sluggish manner, or lacking active chemical, biological properties. So in our definition, the opposite, we can go to the next slide, is simply inert living is not engaged with your life, not finding meaning in your life, and not noticing the wonderful power at play in your life. So as I was putting this together, I'm thinking, all right, what I really want to give is like some actual tangible strategies, because I think we all know this. We know what it feels like to live an active life. We also know what it feels like to be living in an inert life, but at least where I've gotten kind of trapped in the middle is like, okay, well, if I'm feeling inert, what do I do with it? And so I put together 5 steps, and these are what I'm practicing, and if you want to take it for yourself, great. If you don't, that's fine too. We're going to go ahead and dive into the 5 steps, and you can go ahead and change. There we go. 5 steps to active living. The first step, you can go ahead and change it. Perfect. Turn the contrast up. A long time ago, when I was just getting into what do I want to do with my life, I started a photography business. It kind of started out as a school project. And I went downtown Kansas City, and I took a picture of the Kansas City skyline, and I was doing online school at the time. And so I submitted my picture of the Kansas City skyline into my teacher, who I never met in person. I just saw, talked online. And her feedback to me gave me so much confidence, but not in the way you would think. She said, "I don't believe you took this photo. You need to." Now, I really wasn't that great at photography, but for some reason, that comment from her, maybe it was just because it was like kind of too good to be true. It was a great spot, and I happened to be downtown, happened to see it. The fact that she doubted that I took that photo gave me some, honestly, confidence I probably shouldn't have had to go out and say, I am a photographer. So I started booking these like family shoots. I'm not even kidding you guys. I was charging like $25 for a photo shoot for a family with my little camera that I had bought, and I didn't know what to do with the pictures. I knew I was supposed to edit them, because that's what real photographers do. And so I uploaded these photos into it was kind of like the first easy, like user-friendly Photoshop. It was called PicMonkey. I don't know if anyone used PicMonkey, but they had these filters where you could just click a button and it would change the photo. And what it would do is turn the contrast way up. And so if I kind of wish I had some of these photos still. I don't. But imagine, as bad as you can imagine, they were worse. Like the blacks became super black and the lights became super light. And it was like just like an explosion on the screen, Everybody, like if their face was like my skin color, it would show up as hot pink. And I sent it in with all the confidence in the world, like, yes, here we go. But when I talk about turn the contrast up, what I'm saying is in your life, I feel like for me, it's kind of easy to kind of live in grayscale sometimes. It's like, I know that I like my air conditioner at 72. And I know that I like to go to bed at 8 p.m. And I know that we kind of get in these ruts of like ways that we live. And honestly, can I brag on Lennon, my 9-year-old here? She is like such a teacher for me in this area. This girl, it's like if it's about to snow and it's 30 degrees outside, she's outside in short sleeves. We call her Snow Bunny because she's just experiencing life like at full throttle, and she loves blasting music, and she loves she turns the contrast up in her life so naturally that she teaches me how to do this. And what I'm really getting at is be open to new experiences, and not just open to it, but pursuing new experiences gives us the data that we need for step number 2, which is to find your preferences. And finding preferences, I actually have some notes on this right here, because the idea of turning the contrast up and getting into an experience of wide ranges of emotions and flavors and temperatures and music genres and cultures and people and weathers and styles and all of these ways that we could actually experience this human earthly realm more, I think puts us into the perspective to realize, this is not forever. There's a movie called Soul. It's like a Disney movie, I think. Have you seen it? Okay. It's so fascinating. It really is thought-provoking, but he gets an eternal perspective as this little character. And one of the cool things that happens is he tastes pizza and he realizes how special it really is. He's like, the flavors of pizza are not available out there. And I think that's what we're doing when we're turning the contrast up, is putting ourselves into, this is a blip, this is a sliver time, if we, I kind of like, well, time is here. Time is real here because we all showed up to be here together at 11 a.m. But out there, I think time is different. This earthly experience that we're getting is really unique. And getting to find our preferences is one of the gifts of this realm. There's a music producer. His name is Rick Rubin, and he if you trace back many of the really famous hits of the last decade or two, he kind of is a common denominator behind a lot of them. And what he does is he creates a space for artists to truly express themselves. So when he gets on interviews, it's kind of hilarious because he'll get on these interviews on podcasts and they'll say, so what's your music training? What's your music background? And he says, oh, I have absolutely none. I just know what I like and what I don't like. And he trusts that. And the only way that he truly knows what he likes and what he doesn't like is because he has experienced so much and gathered that data. Which brings me to number 3, which is use your imagination. Use your imagination to create something. I have recently been in this book that I mentioned, The Meaning of Your Life by Dr. Arthur Brooks. He talks about this monkey that you may have heard about. It's a gorilla by the name of Coco. Coco has passed away. Okay, you've heard of Coco. And it was kind of this science experiment / how different is animal world from human world? And I know it's very controversial. Some people feel like, Coco was just as intelligent as humans, and that's not my point here. I do have a point, and I hope it doesn't offend you. If it does, I'm so sorry. One thing that the book said, which I'm like, he's a doctor at Harvard, so I think that I can go off of this. I wasn't able to find the study that proved this, even though I looked in the back of the book for all of his sites this morning. I could not find it. So just take the lesson, and don't put your, stamp of approval here. But what Coco couldn't do that humans can do, that Coco could never do, that often gets overlooked, is Coco could not ask an intelligent question. Coco could sign why, Coco could sign what, Coco could sign how. So the questions of like why, what, where, how, Coco could sign and ask, but Coco could never ask an intelligent question, like a question that Coco came up with. And I thought, okay, that's really incredible, because what a computer can't do is ask an intelligent question, and what a computer can't answer is answer our intelligent questions. It can't answer our questions about what we like, what we don't like, what's the meaning of life, what's the purpose, what are we going to after this. It's all a mystery. And what I'm learning right now about finding meaning and purpose is that when we ask questions and we use our imagination, it activates a part of the brain in the right hemisphere that actually is only available to us when we are asking those kinds of questions. And so, or I don't want to say it like that. That's not true. It is activated when we ask those kind of questions. And it's really important and healthy for us. So I'm going to share with you an experience. Actually, we're going to go to number 4, and I'll share this experience there. Number 4 is collect the right regrets. There was a study in 1995, and I have it here. It's by Thomas. That's crazy. There's Thomas. Thomas is the name of the day. Thomas Gilovich and Victoria Medvick. And they studied regrets because until this point in 1995, people really thought that regrets would be some wrong decision that you make. Like, I shouldn't have taken out that loan, or shouldn't have done this thing. But what this study in particular found was that in the short term, people had regrets about the actions that they took, that they deemed maybe the wrong. But over time, towards the end of their life, what they actually regretted was inaction. And they kind of summarized that their belief on why that was is because there were so many things that could have happened that you would never know, what the outcome may be. But here's a personal example of how I am reckoning with this collect the right regrets. I've been working on a book, and I'm about 16,000 words in, and I'm finding myself so paralyzed by my perfectionism tendency. I want to publish it, and then I want it to be perfect. I don't want to find any typos. I don't want to find any, when you're reading a book and they just miss that one little thing, and it's like, oh, you put 2 spaces between those words. And I judge that so harshly. that now I'm paralyzed to take action and put my book out because what if I make a mistake? That's a great example of not having the right regret. At the end of my life, I really wonder, would I regret not publishing the book more than publishing it with an error or a typo or a philosophy change over time? I think I know. I think I know I would be really proud, actually. So I say that just to share an honest example of how I'm reckoning with this too, and I'm working on collecting the right regrets. Number 5 in living active is to keep perspective. This one is probably the most challenging for me personally because, like I said, I can get stuck in the minutia of life. And I heard this quote recently that said, at least once a day, your brain should be where your feet are, or your mind should be where your feet are. And what that means is when I'm driving down the road, instead of looking at the bus beside me, maybe I should be with my daughter in the car and ask her questions and be involved. Maybe not. I like that part of my brain. But what I'm saying is, are you familiar with Maslow's hierarchy of needs? Okay, so it's like, if you're not, it's like a triangle. It kind of looks like the food pyramid. So there's sections inside the triangle. And the theory is, which I really do believe, you cannot move up in the triangle until you've solved the lower levels. So you have to be able to breathe and eat food and drink water in order to move up and be thinking about shelter, for example. Or community, for example. Well, all the questions that I tend to get caught up on are literally in the top little triangle of this, which is self-actualization. It's meaning and purpose and philosophy and context and application. And I get so in my head. The way that I can keep perspective, this is a little trick, you can take it if you want, leave it if you don't, is I will literally picture myself dancing inside the top part of the triangle. Because that's really what's going on. In my spirals, what's really happening is that I'm losing perspective of gratitude and noticing and presence and connection. And so keeping perspective for me is as simple as, and also as hard as, remembering where I am in the triangle. And of course, wherever we are in the triangle, I know I'm very, I feel, I live in this sliver of history where I'm not worried about the food I'm gonna eat. And what a, I have I have to take that in. I have to remember. One of my kids was complaining about going to school recently. I don't want to go to school, Sunday night blues. I don't want to go to school. I don't want to wake up early. And I said, well, it's better than being drafted, And what I was doing there, obviously that's really dramatic, but I'm like, hey, what I'm doing here is realizing if you were born in a different time, your day would look very different. So how bad is getting up at 7:30 really, Okay, so with that, I believe that is all I have. I hope that my life inspires others to actively live, and in order to do that, it starts with me. And so I am committing to you to continue on my journey, and I hope you'll commit with me that you will do too, to live an active life and make that a priority. So thank you for having me today. Appreciate it.
You among the trees and the breeze, listening. You among the light dappled streets, wandering. You among the lonely, the lost, closeness happens to drop by your house, flowing through the rafters of your heart. Open the window and let her in. Take in the living air and breathe, breathe. Circulate in alchemy. You are the blessing. Breathe, breathe. Love heals the wounded and soothes the soul. There's nothing to do now and nowhere to go. So take in the living air and breathe, breathe. Circulate in alchemy. You are the blessing. Breathe, breathe,
We take this moment to still our minds and close our eyes, to center ourselves. We take breaths of oxygen served up by this beautiful and intelligent world we get to live in. We ask for divine help to have us remember that we are here for a reason, that we are the only one that gets to experience life from our particular position in the universe, from our unique perspective. We ask for help to help us learn to appreciate all that we are given and not to be caught up in the minutia of life, but to stay connected to the many miracles all around us.
Every time I feel this way, this old familiar troubles down by the water, where the river will never run dry. I'm gonna let myself be lifted. I'm gonna let myself be lifted. I'm gonna let myself be lifted. By and by I will lay my troubles down by the water, where the river will never run dry. It's been said, and I do believe, as you ask, so shall you receive. So take from me these troubles, bring me sweet release, where the river will never run dry. I'm gonna let myself be lifted. I'm gonna let myself be lifted. I'm gonna let myself be lifted. By and by I will lay my troubles down by the water, where the river will never run dry. I'm gonna let myself be lifted. I'm gonna let myself be lifted. I'm gonna let myself be lifted. By and by I will lay my troubles down by the water, where the river will never run dry. There is a river in this heart of hearts, with a knowingness of my highest good. I am willing, I will do my part, where the river will never run dry. I'm gonna let myself be lifted. I'm gonna let myself be lifted. I'm gonna let myself be lifted. By and by I will lay my troubles down by the water, where the river will never run dry, where the river will never run dry. This river will never run dry.
Thank you so much, Bethany and Star Sister Revival. And so, as we are refreshed with the rain and the music and the message, this is our time of giving from our hearts. And so, as we hold our gifts to our community in our hands and love in our hearts, let's affirm together, divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive, and so it is. And as the love offering is collected, let's join Holly in singing, "We Are Walking as the Light." You are walking in the light.